going to be so uncomfortable. It's going to be so much effort. How is that ever going to be productive? Why would I spend my time that way? And why I would spend my time that way is that it was so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got ghosted. And that was fine.
And then she got ghosted, y'all.
This is Other Maria, the podcast of our real-life conversations about personal evolution, society, relationships, spirituality, and everything else. We're getting vulnerable in these good faith talks and sometimes respectfully disagreeing about which of us is wrong. Just kidding. There's no right and wrong. We're just two friends sitting around talking shit. Wait, talking about deep shit, right? That's what we're doing. Yeah, enjoy.
Let's fuck around and find out.
Let us fuck around and indeed find out.
Indeed find out how this goes. Yeah, this is part 2, if we're assuming that episode 11 was part 1 and then 11.5 was just a 0.5.
Okay.
Then this is part 2.
All right.
Otherwise, this is kind of part 3. Oh no, I've gone cross-eyed. It was cool because we put out the episode where we happened to be obsessing about our Starbucks drink, but also talking about dating at the time. And at the time, I was living under a rock and refused to date. And was just I don't want to right now, and had great reasons for all of that.
Definitely.
And was just so out of touch with that world. So you were holding my hand and explaining it to me through your current experience.
Oh, jeez. I want to say to everybody too, not in a justification, in a sharing way. Maria edited that one and put it out, and I only listened to 15 minutes of it, and I found myself so annoying.
That's right.
I was like, oh god, this one's gonna be hard to listen to. I just feel so different. Just I've grown a lot, but also that was such frenetic energy. If you listened, I have no words for you. I want to say thank you, but also sorry about it, but not sorry, no, whatever. Just
thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
The end, bye.
Jesus Christ, thank you for listening, because wow, that was a lot. And I only listened to 15 minutes of it, so.
I think that was the most energetic of it, though.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. And then I'm sure it did even out a bit, but I was like, okay, wow. A lot of energy.
Yeah.
I actually also think that's indicative of how not working the dating was, as in how not the right person I was dating.
Oh, absolutely.
Or these situations, which is part of the dating process.
Yes, I was gonna say that.
Totally. So no. Zero regrets. In fact, so grateful for those experiences.
Right.
Just so vulnerable to have to go back in time and relive it a little bit, where you're oh, why do I sound insane? And it's because dating makes you a little crazy.
Absolutely it does. But I think it's also what you said about not being with the right person.
That, yes.
The only way we ever know that is if we're open to be exploring the person in front of us.
Right.
And that's what you were in the very thick of.
Right.
For that last episode. It was am I giving this person the benefit of the doubt? Do I think this is just a text message thing? And then obviously, you figured out it wasn't the right person and you moved on and, now you found a more right person.
Totally.
That's right for you right now. And
totally.
The only way you get there, though, is by going through that really
wonky ass time.
I know, I don't even know the words for it.
So
because
wonky.
Now I'm doing that. Which is hilarious.
Maria's on the apps.
Technically I'm on 2, but it's so funny because I started with the 1 and then a few days later downloaded the second one and then of course got...
Do you feel comfortable saying which ones?
Oh yeah, I don't care. The first one was Hinge and the second one is Tinder.
Yeah.
But the experience of the Hinge
avalanche. Yeah. Yes.
The initial avalanche, I didn't know it was coming, and then I found myself in the middle of it and was like, oh boy, okay.
By avalanche, do you mean when you first started, that suddenly 100 people have liked you?
Literally.
Yes.
Yes. And then for whatever reason, several days later, I was like, let me try Tinder. but I made the profile, I half-assed the profile.
Yeah.
And then the avalanche started, and then I did not open Tinder again until they emailed me a couple days ago, and they were like, we're going to deactivate your account if you don't
Really?
open it. Yeah.
Interesting.
Because they keep emailing me and keep sending me, I literally haven't opened it.
I believe you, but I've gone, when I had Tinder, I would leave it unopened for a really long time, and they never were like, we're gonna deactivate it for you. I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's new. A lot has changed, even since I was using them, which was
I'm
only
sure.
7 months ago. So, like, because Hinge, too, for sure changed in the last year. It did not used to be the way that it is. There was sometimes, like, suggesting who you'd match with most, which never, ever, ever,
Which
ever,
I
ever,
really want
ever,
to talk about those.
ever, ever,
Because those
ever,
have been amazing.
ever, 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 are they even close to what you're looking for?
That's why I want to talk about them.
It's, like, wild, actually.
Okay, we're just going to talk about them right now.
Do
Because
it.
this is the most hilarious thing. So, I am in no way a discriminator of age and have left that particular parameter wide open. I now see that that's maybe not wise on the app, while it may be true in person.
Yes.
Because its most compatible suggestions for me continue to be 18, 19, and 20-year-old men. That, I don't know, I don't want to say anything weird, but it's like, they don't have anything that I'm looking for. I don't think I have anything that they're looking for. They're always just like, I want pizza and hot wings. And like, and their pictures are like in a dorm bathroom, and they're like, one of my favorite lines is like, the prompt is, together we could ... and he just wrote twerk. It was like,
together we could twerk.
Right. And it's like, no judgment at all, because you are behaving like I would imagine most 19-year-old men are behaving like. So good for you.
Right.
That's great.
Right.
And also, that is just not what I'm looking for.
Totally.
Not because you're 19, but because you are 19.
Right.
I'm twice your age.
Yeah. Literally.
So that's been hilarious. And I just want to say, too, that, like, I don't know, I was not capable of approaching it in the way that I am approaching it now, which is why I just didn't do it. But I love the way that I'm approaching it now, because it really is literally like, just be open, be honest.
Yep.
Let's see what comes my way. I still kind of feel like I'm not going to find my husband on a dating app, but I'm equal parts open to it.
Yes. But I think that also, like, what the dating apps afford us are ways to meet people when sometimes we're kind of all struggling with that, of like how to meet IRL. And like, just doing that gets the flow going for when you do meet somebody. But like, also it's just the practice of dating.
I was going to say,
it's that.
Yeah, because you've said that, and also my other friend said that. It's about the practice.
Right.
It's about practicing.
Yeah. But we definitely need to get into more of like what got you ready for it and how, or like how you, however much you want to talk about it, but like more so it's just one story of how one person got ready to go on. But like the most important part for me is like people are on there not having fun, like at all having fun. And then it's just like not going to yield any good feeling results.
Right, like, why are you doing it if you're not having fun? But that's what's interesting is right now I am holding it so loosely.
Right.
Which is not something that I even thought was an option, because for years and years and years I've been in relationships and all of my close friends have been on the apps and nobody's having fun.
Right.
Everyone's just getting stressed out and telling me these horror stories about like ghosting and weird behavior, and I'm just like, why would I ever put myself in that position?
Right. We should go find people to talk to though as well that met their partners on the apps, because I want to know how they were approaching the apps before that.
That's a great question.
Because I do think people who are on it and are stressed out obviously aren't in relationships and have been doing it for like a long time. And I don't know, I feel like the apps are such an interesting topic.
They are.
Because they're also intertwined with technology, and all of us, 100% of us, to some degree are addicted to the technology.
Oh, sure.
And like, so the phone, a certain app on the phone, the computer, like whatever. And so you just like mix that into it.
I don't know if I ever told you, there was a thing that during my time of not being on the apps, which was like my entire life until 2 weeks ago.
Right.
At some point, probably a couple years ago, it was definitely after that movie, The Social Dilemma came out.
Oh, yeah.
On Netflix, when they very clearly laid out the addictive motive behind so many of those apps.
Yep.
And I read an article where someone was theorizing, or hypothesizing, I think is the correct word, that dating apps typically don't yield good results as far as genuine connections or long-term relationships, because if people are connecting on the app and they get addicted to the app, they're getting the dopamine hit from the app. Every time they get a message from the person or a like, they're getting this dopamine hit. And when they then meet someone in person, that's never going to be as good as the dopamine hit they're getting from the app.
100%.
Which
That's
is
such a good point.
Fucking terrifying.
Why so many people do the app, and then go out on a date, or consistently go on dates, and they're just like, just gonna turn out like that last date where I meet up with them and I'm bored or I'm not into them. It's just gonna be like the same.
Right, because you're comparing technology's dopamine rush to a for real person.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that part of that problem too is not helped by the fact that the way I see it, and I could totally be wrong or alone, or this could be obvious to everyone, I just don't know, I've just dipped my toe in, but kind of the way that I see it is like, the apps are meant to put someone on your radar. You're not meant to date within the app.
True.
You're meant to like meet, quickly assess if there is interest, and then
get the fuck out there.
Get on a date.
Right.
Because you will never know. I mean, I will never know.
I agree with that. It's just a new iteration, but I would love for us to discuss how we would apply our other belief systems and the way we're trying to do life right now, and then bring the app into how we would treat the app that way. You know what I mean? Like, what I wanted to say was, I don't think anyone should be using the app unless they're generally feeling really good.
Yeah.
In their own life, about themselves, doing that self-reflective work. Then you can bring an app into it. But if you're like not feeling that great, you're going to end up turning to the app to help you feel good. The app, not the dates.
Absolutely.
And that's a whole other step that people sometimes do, where they go on like incessant dates just to get that hit. And some of those people use apps or not, but I just mean historically. That was probably a different paradigm back in the day, where it was like, I just go on incessant dates to get the dopamine hit. But like, it never goes past one date, because I have fun on that first date and then I don't want to go again. And for this one, it's like I have fun texting in the app, or I get a like, or I do the thing with the app, and then I meet them and I'm like, no, I'm good.
Right.
But I think there is also a lot of that talk around the apps of like, the apps suck. The apps are so detrimental. The apps are inherently bad.
No, it's that you're an addict and your drug of choice is the app.
Kinda, yeah, kinda. And we're all learning as we go.
Of course.
That's, I think, what you and I are having fun talking about right now, because I think we're like trying to assess the apps now through personal experience and through like the self-growth work that we do. So it's like, oh, Jesus. What?
So much self-growth.
Yeah, so much fucking personal growth. But so it's like, yeah, I'm starting to see it in a different way, where I'm like, oh, I don't think the apps are inherently bad. And I think you were an example of just like, oh, I don't do the apps. Like, whatever that even meant, right. I'm just saying, I heard it from you. I heard, oh, I don't do the apps. Or my friends are on the apps. Ugh, I hate the apps. They suck. Or out in the world, like, people just being like, oh my God, the apps are like so toxic. Or like, just shit-talking the actual apps.
Right.
Or trying to find the right app when they're really literally all the same.
God, yeah.
Like, actually.
Which is
you do not even have to
hilarious
show
to
me a new app. I'm gonna know it's the same.
No, they're all the same. And it's all the same people, and their motive on all of them is the same, whether they're conscious of it or not.
Yeah.
Like a given person.
Right.
Across 7 apps, they're doing the same thing.
Correct. That's why with Hinge and with Tinder, those are the two I used to have, and it was like, I had Tinder a long time ago, and then Tinder had the whole reputation of it just being like the hookup app when it first came out. It probably was, et cetera, et cetera. Then Hinge came out being like, we're here for people that want a relationship. And actually, it's like their whole like motto on Hinge is the app that you will delete.
Right.
Right? Because they're like, you're going to find a relationship and delete this app. But like, quickly it just became the exact same people and pool, et cetera, et cetera. If you were on there enough, I was just seeing the exact same people on both of them. And so I tried to start being like, okay, but then like, who cares? Let's just use them both as like fun, creative expressions of who I am. So like Hinge was, at first I like Hinge more because it gave me more structure. Mm-hmm. Because like on Hinge, it gives you prompts. And that was very new when Hinge came out. It was like, ooh, because Tinder is open form. So it's
which
like,
is why I half-assed my Tinder profile, because I was like,
totally.
I was like,
and I did the first time I ever had Tinder. I mean, I've had like a million fucking iterations, because that also became what it was. Because then you get addicted to that at some point too. At least I did, of just like, how am I presenting myself? Mm-hmm. So I would like barely even be swiping. I'd be going in to change what mine said about me.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
How can I make myself more... It depends on the person, but for me, it started to be like, how can I be more and more like... accurately representing myself. But still, that's just a trap, right? Like, it's still a trap, but that was my motivation. Whether or not it was like, how can I make myself look as good as possible? I mean, of course. But, you know, sometimes it was for me just like, what can I do that's like an accurate representation of me?
Right.
What do I think that even means? How would one accurately represent themselves? Heavy quotation marks. You know, like,
right.
All of that. You know, the pictures you're choosing. Mm-hmm. Which pictures are you choosing? Which pictures look best? Which pictures are most representative of now? Oh, don't you dare put up old pictures. Or if you do, it's got to be a choice one old picture, mostly current. Oh, it's just like such a mindfuck. It's just constant chatter.
Right.
And I think, honestly, I can say, by the time I dated the few people I dated last year, and now I'm with the person I'm with now, my profile was the closest to something that I think was...
You.
Yeah.
At the time.
Yes, because I was like less and less scared of how to do it, and just being more and more like clear.
Yeah.
Because I was getting more and more clear of what I wanted.
Yeah. Which
helped. Because then I'm less and less trying to like curate a cool fucking I was just like, no, just like say what you are feeling, you're thinking, or like in Tinder, like mine became very not that bad, because at first it was so hard because it's like open-ended and you're like, I don't know, half-ass this, and that's great, and that's how you get out there, and now you're just swiping on looks, and that's fine. Really, it is. It's like not the worst meter either. I mean, I don't just mean physical looks. I mean like what you're attracted to. You know, is it a smile? Is it a look? Is it a you're so fucking hot? Like whatever it is that you want to go for. That's not so bad either. Who fucking cares?
Which is really funny that you even say that also, because I know for myself, and this is going to sound so weird, and if anyone has questions, please email us. But other people won't understand what I mean. But when I see someone, either in person or on the apps, and I'm just like, that person is so hot. Red flag.
Totally.
Red flag.
Totally.
Get away from that person.
I have other friends that are the same.
Yes.
Whether or not they realize it yet, I've noticed. I'm like, you should probably start picking just not who you find super fucking hot.
Right. Yeah. No, and I'm so grateful to know that about myself.
I'm thinking of certain people, yeah.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah. No, and I think that's a great instinct. Let me be clear to the listeners. I don't mean that as a blanket statement for anyone. I just mean, I think, for you to realize that about yourself.
Absolutely.
Because it's not a bad thing for some people. Some people, it's like that great. They do great when they go for the person they think super hot.
Right.
But that also just might have a different meaning for them of what is super hot. Like,
right. And
like for you, it might be that you're like, I go for this dude who looks like he's X, Y, and Z from, I don't know, you know, he's got this amount of muscle, and he's from this magazine, and he's got this haircut.
Yeah,
and
you
it's
know
like
me
red
really
flag,
well.
yeah.
And the tattoos.
The tattoos or whatever. Yeah. Right.
Also, to clarify, that does not mean that I am not still able to
receive a hot ass man.
Oh, I mean, yeah, that.
Well, yeah. Okay.
Hell yeah. No, but that doesn't mean that I'm stopping myself from the people that I'm attracted to. It's just that there is an upper limit for me, where if there's like this immediate, oh, he's so hot.
I do know what you mean.
Put it down.
I do know exactly what you're talking about. That some people really do fall prey to. And that's what I mean by the self-reflection part.
Yeah.
Because you know that, you can use the apps differently.
Exactly.
If you don't know that about yourself.
Right. And that's what's been so interesting, too. Because a mentor of mine a few years back, actually quite a few years back now, she had me write this list of all the qualities that I want in a partner. And like for me, when I say a partner, like what I'm aiming for is a husband to have a family with. Right? And whatever lifestyle that works out to be, great. But like monogamous life partner.
Right.
I'm straight, so it would be a man. Got it. But all the qualities that I would want him to have. And then on the flip side, all of the qualities that I bring to a relationship.
Which I would like to pause. A long, deep, and meaningful pause. That is so deep when you told me that. I feel like there's a lot of stuff in like manifesting circles, etc., whatever you call them, of listing out what you want in a partner.
Mm-hmm.
And I have never heard the and equally listing out what you have to offer.
Yes.
I think
because
that's
you have
so
to stay
great.
You have to stay balanced about it, because I think
and it gives you a chance to like sit with how that might feel. I bet you $1 million that's like something a lot of people haven't thought of, and are like, oh God, I have to like say nice things about myself.
Right, which, as we've discussed on a previous episode, it's hard to say what you love about yourself.
Right.
Yeah, no, so that was useful because it also, at least for me, it kept me out of the territory of putting somebody else on a pedestal to a degree, or like that was the function that it was supposed to serve, and it obviously wasn't, entirely, because I have put people on pedestals, but it helps me stay aware of I am also a catch.
Which is so not, my God.
It's not a thing that people are accustomed to doing, so it was incredibly
that's how you
valuable.
say it. It's not a thing people are accustomed to doing.
And the fun part about it is that I have been directed by the same mentor to, every time a relationship ends, because I've had several end since the inception of my list, update it.
Right.
Like, what else did I learn that I have? What else did I learn that I lack in myself? What else did I learn from this person that I absolutely don't want? What else did I learn from this person that I feel like is absolutely necessary?
Right.
And it's so actually really fun to update that.
Mm-hmm.
So I now, aside from like knowing my upper limit of like he can only be so hot, and beyond that, I need to turn around and run the other way. I'm totally joking, but you guys will understand what I mean.
Yeah.
But also, based on my list, I'm more in touch with what I am assessing a person for. So, for instance, I went on a first date a couple weeks ago from Hinge, and it was really nice. We went for a walk, we got ice cream, had great conversations,
Mm-hmm.
and in my mind was like, what am I actually looking for? And like, the way that he's talking about his life, himself, the way he's responding to me, the way that he's talking about his future, the way that he's, like, his physical energy. When I say something about my family, how is he reacting? Like, what kind of questions is he asking me? I'm familiar enough with my list that I can tell, like, this is a thing that is compatible. This is a thing that's not compatible. I've dated people before that are really, I don't know, certain things that I never would have picked up on before that took me 6 months, 8 months to pick up on, that like, oh, you are this way and I don't like that about you.
Right.
I can now assess in a 2-hour conversation.
Yeah.
And be like, how do I feel about that? I already know it's on the list.
Totally.
So it makes for, it's great practice, and it's also really fun. And I feel like it just also puts it in this very low pressure situation for me, because no matter what, once I get to the point of a date, I've committed to going on this date with you. Unless something egregious happens, I'm intending to enjoy my time, and I did with this person. And I think probably halfway into it, it was like, yeah, I don't think this is the match I'm looking for.
Right.
But also, I'm enjoying your company, and we said we were going to do this, so, like, let's do it. And then, messaged him later and said I didn't feel like it was a match, and he was sweet about it, and then that was it. But it was, like, practice, and it was a really fun way to spend a couple hours, and everybody was an honest adult.
I don't know, man. You're touching on so many good things that my mind is so whirling. I just keep going back to, like, we're all annoyingly aware at this point of the whole, like, idea of, like, you have to love yourself before you date. And that one I like, too, that, like, I'm starting to see people pull back on that one, too, in a healthy way, where it's, like, if you guys haven't heard of Matthew Hussey, he's a cool relationship coach. Oh, Maria's having a moment.
I just love him so much.
I really do like him a lot.
What a fucking wise,
I do like him a lot.
man. Super balanced about everything.
Yeah.
Matt Hussey, call us, let's collab.
I have realized, too, like, he is very much focused on a certain paradigm that's out there right now of people who are like, why don't they pick me? Why don't they like me? Why do things keep going badly for me?
When am I going to find
my person?
Mm-hmm.
Why am I still alone? What's wrong with me? He's really focused on sort of that mindset, which I really appreciate because there's so many people out there like that right now. / I've been that person 1,000%, like 1,000, like not to be like I'm not like that. No, we've all been there or are there, and he's so good with those voices.
He's amazing.
He's done a really good job of, and actually I've heard this in a couple other people I listen to, but he's been really good at being like, it's not true that you have to just love yourself before you can meet someone.
Yep.
Yeah. And I love that different teachers are starting to kind of pendulum swing it back towards the center with that one, because it's so true. And you can also get stuck in that thinking of like, I have to be perfectly...
Exactly.
Yeah. I have to have everything perfectly figured out before I can go out and look for a partner.
Or I have to be fully healed.
One with myself, loving, like love every part of myself.
It's like, no, you don't. I came across a video more recently. I don't know when it's from, but it was like loving yourself enough. Like, you have to love yourself enough. You know, you have to be happy enough with your life that when you meet someone, it's not like you're looking to them for happiness because you have enough of it already.
Right.
And so you guys don't need that from each other. Mm-hmm. Because when we start to need things from a partner, or, you know, short-term, long-term, whatever, but that's when things get messy and gross because
right.
Like, I need this from you. Am I going to get it or not? Versus let's enjoy each other and build something together.
Right. And, like, obviously there's nuance to the language we're using. Like, you need things from your partner when you're in a partnership. And, like, you have to have your needs met. That's a different thing that we're talking about. I just want to make that distinction.
Yeah.
Obviously, Maria and I also agree with, of course you need things in your relationship. And, of course, you're going to have times where you're like, I know I'm practicing that right now, is voicing my needs. It's like...
Yeah.
Right. Like, that's a huge thing, of course. But that's not exactly what we're talking about when we say, like, you know, needing someone to come along and save you is sort of the biggest thing of
needing
like
someone to give you purpose, to validate
you is a
to
big
be
one.
Your badge of value.
Yes, to give you value.
That ain't gonna work.
And I think the list is so helpful because if you can really note out loud and specifically like what is so amazing about you, then you can start to form standards, which is something Matthew Hussey talks about too.
Oh, I love when he talks about standards.
That was a good way to frame it for me too, where it was like, because I often say boundaries, and that's something that's important too. Very important in a relationship to like have your own boundaries, not cross your own boundaries, not let the other person cross yours by stating needs and stating your boundaries, etc. But it's like also standards where it's like if you go into the relationship aware of standards, they're not as fraught to uphold. And what I mean by that is a lot of my learning through relationships, which I wouldn't change for the world, no matter what relationship you get into, you're still going to keep learning more and more about these things in the relationship.
I would fucking hope so.
Totally.
Keep learning.
But there is a certain amount that is way more useful if you come into a relationship ahead of time with it.
Absolutely.
And what I mean by that is it doesn't end up being that like super struggle where you're like, why aren't they listening to me? Why won't they change? Why won't they give me this thing? Why? Beating your head against a wall, trying to be heard and understood. Instead, you're just so like aware of that you try a couple times, but more quickly, you're able to be like, wait, I don't need to disturb my own peace. I get to go, wait, this is a standard that I already knew that I had for myself. And that's totally okay. I don't even need to get mad at the person, or I don't need to get like super crazy. Like I'm going to in a moment, of course. I'm going to get heated and upset. But like it's not going to be this pervasive like why isn't this blah blah blah, and I'm going to stay in this relationship longer than I need to. I'm going to beat my head against the wall. I'm going to, which we've all done. Totally. And like more and more I'm like, "Oh, I see. If I can like get good with my own standards, I don't feel the need as much to get to the point of begging."
Right, because also what you've done is, and I know for me this is absolutely true, and this is part of like the sorting process that happens in earlier dating, but we get much better about walking into the relationship with the standard so that the other person sees it right away.
Right.
And if they see it right away, then either the thing falls apart immediately or they continue to meet the standard, and it works both ways. Mm-hmm. But then we don't end up in a situation where 3 months in, 6 months in, I'm feeling bad because the relationship is functioning in a way where I've had to lower my standards, and then I try to get the other person to meet them, and they're like, well, I never signed up for that because you're just telling me about it now.
Totally. Which I've been so guilty of because of the fear of rejection.
Absolutely.
So you try to fit yourself into some mold you didn't even get asked to get fit into, but you're trying to be like palatable and pleasurable and pleasing or whatever. And then all of a sudden you're like, yeah, exactly what you just said. You find yourself 6 months in like, wait, this is not okay with me. And now it's even scarier to bring up. And I think for me, it's like, because subconsciously, you know, you probably should have brought this up 6 months ago. And you just didn't realize, and you didn't know.
And that's part of the whole learning thing. And I think it's really cool to watch you in the past couple of years, and also myself in like a longer period of time, only because I was like in relationships pretty consistently for a long time. But to watch how like someone that ultimately isn't a match for us, just watching both you and I, from the point of meeting that person to discovering that they're not a match, that period of time getting shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter.
Right.
You know?
And I think that's the part too. I want to highlight that for people if they haven't thought about that. It's really easy to get caught in the specific situation when something doesn't work out for whatever reason.
Sure.
And to just be like stuck in the like, woe is me part of it. And not actually see the like bigger picture, like, oh my gosh, each new time I do this, I get smarter and smarter about it. The time gets shorter and shorter.
Mm-hmm.
That's
clearer and clearer.
Clearer and clearer. And like that's all you could hope for in dating. And it's hard because a lot of us are in that mindset of just trying to jump to the end. Where's my person? Why can't I just find them? Why can't I just be with them already? Why can't I just be chosen?
Right.
Why can't this one work out? I thought it was this one, and also now I feel stupid that I thought it was this one. All those voices,
and like missing the progress of it all.
Right.
Because I think also whether the time gets shorter and shorter, I know there's also the scenario in which you have a gut feeling early on.
Yeah.
And then you maybe don't trust it, and then it ends up being the truth. That's still progress, because you can still say, oh, my gut feeling on date 3 was right, and then I still went on 5 more dates.
Yeah.
But that's still progress because you saw it on date 3, and maybe you weren't able to behave differently, but now you know when you have that feeling again, I can trust it now.
That is right. And I think people get stuck in not framing it the way you just did because they don't let themselves feel their feelings and get to the self-forgiveness stage. Because I keep thinking about one of our wise friends said, which being a human is embarrassing.
Oh my God, it's so embarrassing.
It's so incredibly embarrassing to be a human.
Oh God, it's so embarrassing and uncomfortable.
It's so embarrassing and uncomfortable. And like, if you don't allow yourself to go through all the feelings you're going to feel after a relationship of like, why didn't I see that before? Oh, but I did and didn't listen. What the fuck is wrong with me? Why was I thinking it was that person? Why did that person lie to me?
Why is
that
it
person
not that person?
Why is it not that person? Oh my God, that person misled me. I should have known better. No, but wait a minute. They're the dickhole. Like, they're the one who misled me. But at the same time, now I still feel bad about myself and the place that the part I participated in. And then I'm just going to be hard on myself rather than be like, yeah, but I did the best I could with the information I had. I'm going to feel through these feelings for a week, a month, 6 months, but I'm going to like let myself just feel the embarrassment, but then figure out a way to forgive and heal that feeling.
Yes.
So many of us don't allow the healing of the feeling and then just get right back out there trying to fix the bad feelings.
Oh my God, that is so important.
Yeah.
That is so important because I also want to say like, this is something that I sort of fell victim to after my last breakup. I mean, I was so proud of that whole relationship.
Right.
The way that I showed up. It was maybe the most beautiful relationship I've had, but it was very short. But after it ended, it was also very clear that like, I didn't do anything wrong. And like, neither did he. But I didn't do anything wrong. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to feel sad about it, but I know I didn't do anything wrong. And I a little bit denied myself just allowing the feelings of I maybe did something wrong or I do have regrets or there is pain around certain things that I didn't do or did do, none of which were good or bad.
Well, right.
But I didn't give myself that space because, of course, all my friends, like, they see me heartbroken and they're like, you didn't do anything wrong. It just wasn't the right fit, whatever it was. But we're proud of the way you showed up, too. And I didn't give myself the space to say, and there's a part of me, though, that, like, feels like I kind of fucked up and I wish it hadn't gone that way and I regret certain things. And that was really necessary when several months later I let myself feel that.
Totally.
And it was quick. And what you were saying about forgiveness, it was like, I'm allowed, whether it's true or not, like whether it's the cosmic truth or not, but I'm allowed to feel like I fucked it up, let that process through my system. It was quick. It was like, I don't know, a week.
Totally.
And then it was over. And that was necessary, though.
Well, okay, and I will say that, not to make you talk about this specific thing that much, but, like, I remember when that happened, too, like, well, no, not even when that happened. I know for you, there had been years of feeling like there's a right and a wrong.
Oh, yeah.
There's that black and white thinking.
Oh, yeah.
And always feeling like you did something wrong.
Oh, yeah.
So I know when this relationship happened, I knew there were things that you could have done differently. But you needed to feel what it felt like to have, quote unquote, not done anything wrong.
Absolutely.
So I know I can see for myself as your friend, I was just trying to be supportive of you being like, I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't do anything wrong. And that was like so great for you at the time to be able to go, I didn't do anything wrong. But that is very black and white. Right. And like, what are we talking about at that point of right and wrong? La, 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 I fucked up, I didn't, I this and that. Of course there was stuff you could have done differently. And it doesn't mean the relationship would have even gone better or worse or not, right?
Because it wouldn't have.
Sure,
and
probably
that's why
not,
it was
right?
important.
Right.
And I guess, no, you're right to point out that I have for a very long time been breaking down the right-wrong paradigm in my head.
Right.
You're right to point that out because I almost forgot about it because that's how fruitful the experience was.
Right.
That it took a huge chunk out of that right-wrong thing for me. It took a huge chunk out of perfectionism. Mm-hmm.
And it was super useful in the beginning for however long it took until you went, oh, wait, maybe I could have done this or that differently and just reflected. It was useful for you to just be like, I didn't do anything wrong.
Absolutely.
Because it was also true in a sense of what the term was for you at the time. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say. Because like I do also know it's important for us to be able to take responsibility for the parts we play in these situations. It's like paramount in order to move forward. But the key part is not shaming and blaming ourselves.
Well, right. And
because it becomes like if I'm going, because that's what I'm talking about the embarrassment you have to work through. You can always have maybe made different choices or done something differently.
Well, but I think what happened for me deep down, it was like, I know I didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
And therefore, I should not regret anything.
Oh my gosh.
Or I should not feel bad about anything. And that...
Totally. And that's where it becomes weird semantic shit. And, I mean, yes, black and white thinking, but our own way of using those words.
Right, which, like, I don't even want to get into it. I just want to say, like, I think that there's, for certain feelings, whether it's about a breakup or not, but we're often not conscious of the way that we reject them right away.
Yeah.
And that's how it showed up for me.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, I shouldn't feel that way. Because
right.
Here are the facts on paper. And it wasn't conscious. It was just like I said, well, there's no need for feeling bad in a certain way because I didn't do anything wrong.
Totally. I have completely been there.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to work on not you, just one is trying also to work on not shaming yourself. So it's like, that's part of the practice is sitting in a place where you just go, I'm not going to shame myself for this. There's no use. I don't want to shame myself. I don't want to guilt myself.
Which is funny because I think what I'm talking about is even deeper than that, which is I feel ashamed of that. Okay.
You mean before the time you processed for a week?
At any point in time. Mm-hmm. Whereas instead of saying like, I'm not going to shame myself, just being like, oh, I feel ashamed of that. Okay. And just sitting with that instead of rejecting it and saying I'm not supposed to.
And that's how you felt when you were saying I didn't do anything wrong? I'm saying when we're sitting in the like, I didn't do anything wrong. It's playing with the like, you don't have to shame yourself for this. I didn't do anything wrong. It's not useful to shame yourself. That's what I'm talking about. But it then becomes, next level. You don't have to quote unquote shame yourself in order to allow shame. You can feel ashamed of something and not shame yourself.
Right, which I don't know if everyone heard that. There's a big distinction.
Right. Yeah, all I was trying to get at, and again, this is getting very cerebral and very Maria and Maria. But
that's what we do, y'all.
This is. But like, no, I'm thinking through a lens of how I would have done it too, and I've done in the past, where it's like you have to play around with that space of going, I didn't do anything wrong. And for once, I'm not going to shame myself for anything, because I usually would go in a shame spiral, and I would be, oh my God, I should have done this differently. I should have done that differently. Maybe if I'd done that, should I have done this? Maybe if I'd done that, he wouldn't have been this, and maybe it wouldn't have ended if I'd done just those voices. Mm-hmm. It's like, if you get to go, I didn't do anything wrong. You get to just like not do that for a minute, and that's so nice. And then next level is being able to do the thing we're all trying to work towards, is taking healthy responsibility for things and going, oh yeah, man, crap. And like feeling kind of bad about it. Like, oh man, like I really kind of could have done that differently.
And now I'm going to feel fucked up about it for a week, and that's okay.
Correct. And it's just totally okay to feel the feelings. And like, but then I will say, I have compassion for all of us in that whatever Maria and I are saying, it's because it's like recent examples we can give ourselves in order to talk about it. But like, it is not easy. There's no like easy solution to learning how to forgive yourself. But you do have to be curious about what that means. What does it mean to go, man, I could have done that differently, but I'm not going to hold on to this forever and always. And I'm not going to keep these like unconscious voices in my head that are going to reappear next time. I'm actually going to go, I could have done that differently, and at the exact same time, I could have done things differently, and that relationship wasn't meant for me. Otherwise, it would have worked out, or whatever. Insert whatever. Yeah, I feel kind of icky that I did that. Ugh, gross. Okay, like it doesn't mean anything about who I am as a person. We're all allowed to make mistakes, and it becomes like all of our collective perfectionism. You're a bad person if you make a mistake, or whatever. Right. You're a bad partner if you ever misstep, whatever.
Because I think what you just said too, like the part for me that's so glorious is whatever you said, blah, 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 and then your own response to yourself is, okay.
Right.
Because I think that's so much of what makes the human experience difficult.
Right.
Is there's this perceived danger about our own feelings.
Yeah.
And it's not for no reason. Like a lot of it is from trauma that we're aware of or not, because everyone on some level has experienced some, whether you're aware of it or not. Like think about your little baby self, your little 3-year-old self, even if you had a picturesque childhood, that child's having an experience. So we all have some kind of trauma. And I think it's just a lot of it ends up manifesting in relationships well into adulthood until we take a look at it, but there's some perceived danger of if I allow myself to feel this shame or this guilt, or I don't feel guilty, or I am happy during this time when other people aren't, I am a bad person, or I will be rejected, or I don't deserve love, or something like that. There's so many different iterations of it, but when we get to the point that you just said where it was I know I didn't do anything wrong and I really regret some stuff, okay.
Right.
It's just feel into all of that.
Right.
And let it run its course. And it always is so much quicker and less dramatic than I think.
Yeah.
It's I just had to have a feeling for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm fine.
Right. But which is really hard for a lot of people because we've got, historically, society, we don't feel our feelings. And so that's the first step. And it's even that's just so new for so many of us, to just feel something.
Yeah.
So the next step, which can take months, years, a week, doesn't matter. The next step is getting to the okay. And then hearing the shame things no, not okay. Not okay. You're not allowed to make a mistake. You're not allowed to do that. That was really dumb of you. That was really stupid of you to. I know this is where I've gone.
Right.
But that was dumb of you to do. Why did you do that? You know better.
Uh-huh.
You're smarter than that. Why did you do that? And it's what? Not what? Ay. You did what you could at the time, and there's a lot more involved. When we talk about relationship, all of this can be applied to not relationship too.
Oh, totally.
But when we talk about relationship, it takes two people. It's really hard too when you've been mistreated by someone. That one's really tricky. Because I do think no matter what, it's really important to take responsibility for our own parts and things. Because it just ends up being more helpful if you can get to a healthy place with it. Because it's so much more holistic than just being like, fuck them, they wronged me. It can even be true. This person can completely have wronged you. And it be so egregiously, like just even abusive, like just straight up, they have fully done you dirty.
Mm-hmm.
You were still there for them to treat dirtily. Dirtily. And that's not in a blame way. Like, I was in a shitty relationship once. I still was there. I was still working through my own self-love and boundary stuff. So
Right, and your ability to act on that, too.
Yeah.
And so it's also not like you or anyone in that situation could have or should have taken responsibility. You did or you didn't, and that was fine.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to misrepresent saying you had a part in it because you stayed in it, which is true, but just because you know that doesn't mean you have the tools and the support and whatever it is to change the situation.
Yeah.
That may not be the case either. So
right.
Yeah.
No, 100%. That's what I mean. I stayed in it, right? But it's like, I could see if I hadn't taken responsibility for my part, mm-hmm. that would have been what would have led me to being in the same relationship again.
Yes, you would have done it again.
Yeah. Not the recognizing he did me so dirty.
No.
That part.
But recognizing things from that relationship as they may be presented in another person that you could have potentially had a relationship with, and saying no much sooner.
Exactly.
Yes.
Seeing it more clearly. Being like, oh, I have a tendency to miss this.
Right.
Let me try not to miss it next time.
Or minimize it.
Or minimize it, justify it, fall for their potential.
Yeah. Think I can fix them.
See their true heart. Even if I can't see their true heart, doesn't mean I gotta be with them.
Absolutely.
That's really it. And that's where
I think what's so cool about your and my experience and like a lot of our friends, and it's just really clearly seeing also that a lot of it, I think, when someone isn't a good match for me, it is so much about timing.
Yeah.
So much about timing. Either phase of life or
God, yes.
level of maturity or level of spiritual awareness. Because between you and I, we have several examples of this person was amazing. They're on a fantastic path. And not that one is higher or lower than the other, but I am on a different level than this person. And given our trajectories, it doesn't seem like they're going to intersect.
Yeah.
So even though I love being with this person and they're also working hard on themselves or whatever, we are not in the same place. And I know that they will get to a different place and I will also get to a different place, but it's like just the timing of it. I don't know if I explained that well, but...
Well, yeah, and they're not going to be... you guys won't be beneficial for one another.
Right.
Yeah.
You just won't be able to support each other's growth in the way that you would ultimately want to.
Right. We got on such a tangent, we haven't even talked about...
Oh, what? Tell me what we were supposed to talk about.
No, I don't know what we were supposed to talk about. I just meant, like, the fun of your dating life.
Oh, the fun of my dating life. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Well, first of all, y'all, I really am having fun.
Right.
Like, this is... Judge me or don't judge me. The entertainment value of the fucking matches on the app is fucking hilarious sometimes.
Yeah.
Some people's profiles are hilarious. I think I sent you guys recently, I like video recorded as I scrolled through this guy's profile, and I'm not kidding you guys, it was something out of a cartoon because he was making the exact same face.
Oh my gosh.
The exact same duck face selfie.
Yes.
Every single picture. Exact same frame around his face as far as like placement, but it was like a different background, or he had a hat on, or he had a different sweater, and like it was not like he staged this. He truly took selfies of himself doing the exact same thing in his life, and these were all the pictures he chose to put on the app.
Yeah.
It wasn't like he did a fashion show in an afternoon and just changed his hat and his sweater.
Nope.
It was all the same photo. It was hilarious. Then I've also sent you guys, like, all the most compatible that Hinge is giving me with, like, the 18 and 19-year-olds that I could literally be like, meet me at Domino's, and they'd be like, fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Let's twerk. Yeah, entertainment value through the roof. Also, just hilarious to me that I don't know what happens, but I mean, my profile's super clear of like, this is what I'm looking for, this is who I am, and you wouldn't believe how many people are trying to match that.
Do not want any of the things.
Do not want any of the things.
None of them.
None
like
of them.
Explicitly do not want the things you want.
They're like I'm looking for a short-term poly, I never want children.
Yeah,
like,
and you're like, I don't.
why?
What? I know.
They're like, I can't wait to talk about sports and politics and like over a bottle of tequila.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we got nothing.
Literally got nothing.
We got nothing. So that's been hilarious. No, but it's also been nice to have some chats with people. And for me, again, I really would like to get to meeting a person as quickly as possible.
Right.
And so far I've met 2 people in person, and so many conversations have just fallen off. Like, one of them actually last week was really funny because on my profile, I think the prompt is like the way to my heart or something. And I just put chivalry.
Yeah.
And then this guy comes at me with the funniest. I think he even said, not to be a history nerd, but then he comes at me with like this lesson of where chivalry came from, blah, 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 blah. Because his comment was something to the effect of like, I said chivalry, and then he said something about like traditional gender roles. And so then I said, okay, say more about that. And then he gave me this whole history lesson. And then we have since, I have murdered the conversation. It is over. Because it really just turned into like this a bit mansplaining, condescending kind of thing. But it was at first a conversation that I was like, oh, this could be interesting.
Sure.
Just to have the conversation. Yeah. And just like having conversations with people and short conversations. Because honestly, like, I don't have any rules for myself about the app.
Yeah.
But it's like when I feel like it,
Yeah.
I'll look, like it sends me notifications, I think. But when I feel like it, I'll open it and I'll see I have a message and I might respond or I might not. So like there is no rhyme or reason to it. But some of the conversation, after like a day or 2, if we're not moving in the direction of let's meet up,
Yeah.
I'm done.
Definitely.
I can't.
Definitely.
If I say a bunch of cute shit and then you remind me that you have a boat for the 8th time and don't
Oh my
acknowledge
gosh.
anything that I said,
Oh my
we're
gosh.
done.
And literally not respond to what you said and then just bring up the boat again. Oh my god. That happened.
That was a great one. Yeah, it's like on his profile. He's like, I have a boat. And then that was one of the first things someone said to me. And they were like kind of having an okay conversation back and forth. And I said some really cute stuff about photography. And then he goes back to his boat without acknowledging anything
Without
I said.
acknowledging anything you said. It was the strangest thing.
And I was like, okay, bye. And then there was that other guy that I kind of wanted to talk to more, but he sent me that song that his dog was named after.
From Murder Ballads?
And the title of the album was Murder Ballads. And I poked him about that in like a funny way, and I never heard from him again. And I was like,
Sure.
oh, okay.
Right. That's the thing that I think is key as well when you're getting out there is I understand how hard it... Well, wait. You know what? I was about to say something, but I want to be very clear that Maria identifies as an introvert, correct?
Sure.
Right?
If
You're
given...
an extroverted introvert. I understand we use those words in different ways, but like you're not like looking to have social interactions.
Correct.
You're not looking to have social interactions.
I am not. Mm-mm.
But, so I was going to say, I can understand why it would be really hard on that. On the apps or just dating in general when you're an introvert. Because for me, I'm an extreme extrovert and I enjoy social interactions.
Right.
That's not all the time. That's not true. It depends on my feeling and mood and like where I'm at, of course. But like more generally, I definitely enjoy meeting new people, enjoy conversation, etc. So I can understand it being harder for introverts, but at the same time, I do think it's beneficial if you're an introvert to like don't put yourself in the box of being like, I don't like social interaction. I don't ever want to talk to anybody. I hate small talk. Like, that can all be true, but all of us like to connect with people at some level. And I think, like, that's what's also an important place to get yourself to before going out on the dating apps. You don't want to be on the apps because you're so desperate to find someone, but every time a date's coming up, you're like, oh, God. Right. I don't want to go out. I don't feel it today. I don't feel like it. Or, you know, the extreme, I'm just so introverted. I don't like meeting people. Okay, like, but that might also just be you're not in, like, the right mindset or headspace or mood. It is really important. Mindspace. Yeah. Mindspace and headset. Head brain. I keep, like, for months I've been saying mindspace and headset, and I cannot stop. I cannot stop. But like, brain frame. Brain frame. I like that one. Brain frame. But it is really important to, like, be curious about that, because it's so beneficial when you're approaching dates to be more in that mindset. That took so much effort. To go, like, I'm just going to be curious, and I'm going to get to meet a person, and I'm going to chat with them. And honestly, I encourage y'all to be vulnerable and just be like, man, dating's weird as fuck, huh? Like, talk to the person. Like, I'm not always that comfortable with this, and, like, it's really hard for me to just, like, chat with new people. And, like, how's your experience been with dating? Like, talk about dating, if nothing else, with the person, because you can just get to know another person and their frame of mind, and you're probably pretty quickly going to know if you're into them or not.
Oh, absolutely.
So if you're not, like, I love what you're doing is where it's just like, you might know pretty quickly you're not into that person, and, like, it can be exhausting. Of course, try to set a coffee date then. Something with an ending. Of course, we all know that trick, right? Say you only have an hour. Do that so that you've got that built in. Right. But then once you have the built in, it's only going to be an hour. Be open to making it an hour. Be open that even if you don't love that first 10 minutes, unless they're just a complete terrible whatever, that's funny. Then, okay, I'm sorry, you're going to suffer for an hour and you're going to have a funny story. But if you can still see that person as a person...
Ma called, the bees are back.
I don't know this reference.
New Girl, when he's teaching her how to date. Schmidt is teaching whatever the fuck her name is, Jess, how to date. And he's, like, giving her all these lines that, like, when she sees a red flag...
Yes.
She should get out, but at first, before she's able to execute on those lines, because she's feeling bad, she's like, I don't want to hurt their feelings. Yes. I don't want to be rude. He's helping her do it. So for this guy's being super weird, and Schmidt's, like, across the coffee shop or whatever.
Yeah.
And he sees that it's going weird, like, 5 minutes in, and he runs up to them, and he's like, Ma called, the bees are back. And then Jess is like, the bees are back, and then they, like, skedaddle. It's so
my God.
It's so funny, and I love that line. No, but I think it's interesting because when you asked, you identify as an introvert. I do if given the choice. Are you an introvert or an extrovert?
Yeah.
I am absolutely an introvert. Like, the truth is, I am, like you said, I am not looking to add more social activities to my calendar. I don't like being in big groups of people. I fucking crawl out of my skin with small talk.
Yeah.
And all of that feels really draining for me.
Right.
Really draining. And it takes me a while to get back. So, like, knowing that about myself also gives me the boundaries to operate within. And it's also just like, okay, but I know that I thrive one-on-one. That's my jam.
Sure.
I love being one-on-one with people.
Sure.
And you and I had an interesting conversation, like, last week or something, when you were like, oh, that's a great way to frame it, because I always say, like, I don't like people.
Right.
And it isn't that I don't like people, because I do. I really like people. I just don't like being around them.
Which I love. I love that.
Because of what it costs me if I do it too much.
Right.
So, for instance, if I'm going to go on a date, that is my social activity for the day.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
And I'm not going to push myself beyond that, and I'm probably not going to go on more than, like, 2 in a week.
Right.
Because I won't feel good after. But I just want to echo what you were saying about being curious, because I guess the circumstance that, like, precipitated my whole openness to the dating apps just gave me such a clear experience of, I can have so much fun on a first date.
Right.
I can have so much fun with a person that I've not met before, or like, I guess in that case, technically I met him before at a party, but on a first date, I am capable of having so much fun. I, in my little brain, thought it's just going to be small talk. I'm going to want to die. Like, it's going to be so uncomfortable. It's going to be so much effort. How is that ever going to be productive? Why would I spend my time that way? And why I would spend my time that way is that it was so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got ghosted. And that was fine.
And then she got ghosted,
and then
y'all.
I got ghosted. Even though we set up a second date, and the first one was so much fun, and it seemed like the second one was going to be fun. But the value of just having that first really fun experience made me open to, or made me acknowledge my openness to, let me just meet new people and be curious about it.
Yeah. And then tell them about your profound, like...
And be open to having fun.
Your profound reason of why then you got on the apps.
Oh, right. Okay, so...
Pertaining to ghosting.
Oh, sure. So, this is...
Because this one's so juicy.
I know. Well, that was such a juicy, fruitful experience. I actually am so grateful for it. At this point in my life.
Yeah.
I had not been on dating apps since... I know I mentioned this in the earlier episodes. Since, like, maybe 2014, 2015. I did it for a summer. And I probably went on, like, 3 or 4 first dates. And one of the guys I really liked, and he ghosted me. And this was like on the heels of a couple relationships.
Right.
In which I got ghosted.
Right.
And so my highlight experience of the dating apps with that very tiny sample size was like, I will get ghosted. Then for the next few years while I'm in relationships, I'm hearing from all of my friends that they're getting ghosted left and right on dating apps. You hear all the horror stories online, like dating app. Nobody takes it seriously. Everyone's ghosting left and right. And meanwhile, I'm having relationships that came about organically in the real world. And there's a through line somewhere of like, we have the same, we met at work or we met through friends or whatever. And unconsciously, that gave me a level of reassurance or security or something that if I were meeting people in the real world in this organic way and there was some kind of through line between our lives, at the very least, they wouldn't ghost me.
Yeah.
Also, it's very untrue because I've been ghosted in the most egregious ways.
That is true.
Some of the worst. So in my mind, and this is something that just became very clear in the last month, in my mind it was like real world equals real breakup. Dating app equals I'm gonna get ghosted.
Right.
And because that was so painful and traumatic for me, it was like, why would I set myself up for that?
Right.
So then, this past month, I met someone through friends.
Yep.
That my friends held in high esteem. We hit it off. We went on a date. I got ghosted and then was like, I guess I could get ghosted from anywhere. And it was actually like very funny. And like, obviously, I don't want to negate that it like did kick up old
1000%
situations of like ghosting and abandonment, but having nothing to do with this person.
Mm-hmm.
So it kicked that up. But then it was just like so cool to have the realization of like, no, anybody can ghost me no matter where I meet them. So why? And the truth is that doesn't just apply to ghosting. That applies to literally fucking every kind of treatment.
Correct.
Can come from anywhere and anyone.
Mm-hmm.
So why would I cut off this one avenue of maybe finding a relationship or a husband or just having some really fucking fun ass first dates?
Right.
Which I'm doing.
Right.
It's been really fun. So like at this point in time, I've been on 3 really fun first dates.
Right.
Yeah, and like one person I'm going to see again. So
Amazing.
It's cool.
Yeah.
I'm like having fun.
Right.
And if you had told me 6 months ago, you're going to have so much fun dating, I'd be like, you're fucking drunk.
Right.
No, I'm not. That's not me. I'm never doing that.
Right. Right.
I'm having a great time.
Yeah. Which I love. It's
Yeah.
just so fucking funny.
And just holding it so loosely.
So loosely.
So loosely.
So loosely. And I think it's like, that's the main thing with everything in life, is just hold it loosely. Give it a try until it doesn't feel good and then don't do it. That's fine too.
Right.
Take a pause. Stop. Don't do it if it's not feeling good. I mean, bottom line, that's all you and I are trying to work on. Like, don't do stuff that doesn't feel good. And we all feel like that's indulgent. We were having a talk about that word earlier. We're not going to get into it. That's for next episode. But like, you know, we feel like we're being indulgent, or we're, you know, being entitled, or like, who am I to like just have good experiences? I mean, that's not how life works. You're going to have bad experiences. Bad things happen all the time. But like you always say, it's just like, why create more bad things? If it's already, bad shit's going to happen.
Right.
Why do we have to like make more? It's like, it's okay to just follow the good feelings. Yeah.
Follow the good feelings.
Yeah.
That's perfect. No matter what, bad shit's going to happen. Uncomfortable shit's going to happen. Fights, breakups, disagreements. Whatever. It's all going to happen.
War, death. Like, I mean, the planet's wild, you know, like, it's cool. Crazy shit.
But yes, and I do say this a lot. It's like, why would I put on myself the obligation to do something because I think I'm supposed to, or it's the responsible thing, when it doesn't feel good to me?
Yeah.
I'm not doing that anymore.
Right. And it's so funny how often we date. No, go ahead. So go ahead.
I was gonna say, I probably still am. I'm just not aware of those things yet because there's some deep shit in there. But
nah, whatever, girl. Yeah. You're lit. And it's unfortunate the amount that we all date from a place of not feeling good. Yeah. And I think that happens so often that then it looks like dating sucks.
Right.
But dating can be actually kind of fun. I mean, it's like, and you have to learn your own boundaries in short spurts or not. You go on a date a month, you know, you can go on 2 dates a week, you can go on a date a month, like whatever. You don't have to be rigid about it, but you can feel it out. Go with your feelings every given week. Just be like, how am I feeling right now? Like,
follow the good feelings.
Follow the good feelings. If you're feeling so bad that you don't have a partner, don't date.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Actually, that's like, that's what's so funny about it. It's not like if you don't feel like bad about not having a partner, you should really get out there and find them. It's not going to work. It doesn't also then mean, let's bring balance back. It doesn't also mean you have to be like 1000% completely and utterly fulfilled being alone. Because that's the other thing I used to struggle with.
Right.
Because I'm very positive that I want a partner. And I know that I'm going to have one. And I know it's going to be like helpful for me when I have one. There's going to be like good stuff that comes out of me having a partner. I am going to get stuff out of it. Like, that all like actually true for me. But I had to like kind of accept that, or like allow that to be true, where I was like, no. It was weird. It was like, well, I was like, I shouldn't need a partner for anything. That whole language that like we're starting to come more balanced in, I guess, maybe, or at least Matthew Hussey has mentioned it, where it's just like, yeah, you don't have to be this like epitome of a healed human. In fact, not at all. You're going to be so unhealed when you meet them. They are too. And then you're going to have to work with each other's triggers. And that's what a healthy relationship's going to be. So, like, it was nice to finally admit to myself, like, no, it's going to be really great when I have a partner. And it is going to alleviate some things here and there sometimes, etc. And I'm allowed to feel lonely. That's it too. Like, I'm allowed to feel lonely. I'm allowed to, like, long for my partner. I'm allowed to just be like, man, I wish so badly I could, like, find my person. It's just tricky when you go into, why haven't I found my person? What's wrong with me? What's wrong with them? Why does the same thing keep happening?
Because I think there's a difference between what you're saying of like, I'm allowed to long for this particular type of human connection. I'm allowed to feel lonely. There's a difference between that and feeling fucking like incomplete or acting from a place of desperation,
yeah,
or needing that in order to be okay.
Right.
Because I think also what you're saying is I'm allowed to feel lonely and I'm okay with that for the time being.
Right.
Like it's okay.
Yeah. It's okay that I'm lonely. Of course I'm lonely. I'm destined for a partner.
Absolutely.
Why wouldn't I be lonely without my partner?
Right. Right.
But, you know, there are so many other ways to soothe those feelings in healthy ways. And a lot of those come from community, or even small things like you talk about, like go get a massage if you're feeling lonely for physical touch, like things like that, but also like leaning on your community. I know for me, I fantasize about how my partner and I, one day I'm going to have a partner that I share house shit with, because I have a lot of trouble taking care of my home. And like not in the shamey way that I've done with myself of like something's wrong with me. I genuinely also just don't always enjoy some of this shit. It would just be nice, even if I had a roommate. You know what I'm saying? I'm just a bit aged out of wanting a roommate anymore. I want the next roommate to be my partner.
Absolutely.
But even if I had a roommate, I've thought about that too. I'm just like, if I don't have a partner in the next few years that I live with, I probably will maybe go try to find a really healthy, living situation with another, just because I do need that community support to like share the load of literal physical labor.
Oh, totally.
Cool, right? But right now, kind of in that struggle of like not being able to like keep up with my home or something, it's like important for me to remember to like, no, then go ask your friends. Don't just sit around only thinking about if only my partner were here to share this load with me.
Right.
Because now I'm going to start trying to desperately look for someone to come help me clean my house with me. Not actually be in a relationship.
Right. And if I'm coming,
No.
well, and if you're coming from that place, the person that you find is not going to be the one that's a good match for you.
That too.
It's just not.
It's
if
just
you're
not.
coming from that place.
100%.
And I think I also want to illustrate what was
That's a good point.
like the possibilities, because we had a conversation a couple weeks ago where I was talking about how I've been very happily single on and off for several years. Super happy, super fine, not having a partner.
Right.
Contented with the idea of like, what if I never have one? That's okay.
Right.
Because I feel solid in my community, and not to say that you don't.
Yeah.
But also the possibilities of wanting for a partner in a healthy way.
Right.
You also were like, well, I don't know if I'd be okay without a partner.
Yeah.
And like, that's totally fine too.
Yeah.
And like, we both really want one.
And
like,
I think what you and I got to with that one too, that made me kind of think, I was like, I know I would be fine without a partner at the base of it, truly, because I know I will always be fine. Me.
Yes.
I trust myself. I like being on earth. I like being alive. I like human beings. I want to be here.
Yes.
So if there's not a partner, that's totally going to be fine.
Right.
But I just know so deeply that I'm meant to have a partner and that I will have one, that I think that's more what I lead with when I'm like, fuck no, I won't be okay. Because I actually only came to that thought in the last few years in a fun way, where I'm allowing myself to be like, nah, I'm not. Because you do get met a lot with the like, you need to be okay with yourself. So like some spiritual gurus are like, you need to really like be okay with the idea that you may never have a partner before you can find your partner. They always frame it that way. And that's my problem with it. I have to be okay with not wanting a partner before I get my partner. That's fucking weird.
That's fucking bullshit.
It's fucking bullshit.
I don't
So,
think that's
like,
true.
So I do think there's a place of desperation where if you truly are like, I don't think I'll be okay if I don't have a partner.
Or
like,
I can't be happy until.
Right, like I think I'll be okay if I don't have a partner. I just don't think it will be okay if I don't have a partner. I don't know if I'm jokingly making that distinction, but it's just like, I'll be fine.
Right,
but
like, I think it also comes from like this deep-seated knowing for you of I'm going to have one.
Yeah.
So why would I need to be okay with not having one? And I think
right.
For me, it's maybe a little bit the inverse, where it's I really feel like I'm going to, and also I'm maybe only 90% sure.
Sure.
And that leaves room for me to have also digested the concept of maybe I won't have a life partner. And that's totally fine too.
Right. Because you can take care of yourself. Yeah, yes. For you. And also that makes sense because it's like, yeah. Anyway,
and also
so it's
it goes back to that whole thing of like standards and boundaries. And I am so sure from my experience and that of my friends that I would much, much, much rather not be in a partnership than be in a partnership that is not a good match.
And that's 100% agreed. And I think that's why it's like, for me, that's always the challenge, up-leveling my relationships. I learned through relationships so much that I know I'll keep up-leveling till I find the one that works. That really works. Not like beyond works. Like that is really, really beneficial and
that's popping
tasty
off.
And popping off and delicious for both of us.
Yes.
Through the growth and learning, the constant growth and learning through each other's triggers. Like it will not just be like some fairy tale, easy peasy thing. Which also does happen sometimes. It really does. On this planet, it does happen sometimes.
Sure.
And then there are the ones that are more challenging or whatever, or growth-oriented. But I certainly agree with you 100%. That's where I'm at, too, where it's like I can see it so clearly when something's not working for me and won't stay in it anymore.
Right.
I would certainly choose being alone, easily, than being in a relationship that I know is not feeling right. But I'm just trying to make it work. I just want a relationship, and I just need to, or I've put in this much time, so I have to see this through, or like,
oh yeah, that old thing,
which I've done, we've all done it, so it's fully fair. It's just I'm lucky enough right now to not be in that situation, so therefore it's easy for me to say right now I won't do it again. I mean, maybe I fucking will, but I don't think I will. I'm lucky enough that I got through those relationships, so that's behind me.
Yeah.
I'm not currently in one, which means I'm not going to be one in the future because I'm not going to do that again.
Right.
Other shit's going to come up for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
That one's just done for me. So I'm like, yeah, no, exactly. And no, but I would much prefer to be alone and single than be in a shitty relationship.
Right.
I just think I'm going to have a good relationship. So why wouldn't I think I'm going to have a relationship?
Totally.
We did it.
We did it. We'll talk more about it another time too, I am certain. I'm excited to share more of the hilariousness of what the apps are giving me.
Honest to God. I'm so happy you're out there for us to find fodder to talk about.
It's so fun.
I know.
It's so fun.
I'm so glad you're having fun. And you'll do it till you don't, so.
Exactly.
It's great.
Just keep doing it till it doesn't feel good anymore.
Yeah. Yes. Well, good luck out there. We feel you.
And thanks for listening, and hopefully you were entertained, and seriously write to us. Share thoughts, ideas, tales of boat trauma or otherwise. Send us an email. Follow us on Instagram.
Please.
Love you guys.
Love you guys. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
If you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe, leave us a 5-star review, and most importantly, share. This episode was hosted by Maria and Maria. Theme music composed and performed by Maria. Logo design by Maria. Recorded and produced by Maria. Snacks provided by Maria. Moral support provided to Maria by Maria.